K.A. Bullet's footballing channel.
Hurry up, tell me why I'm here.
Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club has spent the last 8 years in the Premier League, being owned by the Folsom International Group, and for a while had Jorge Mendes, Cristiano Ronaldo's agent, helping them scout for players. This allowed Wolverhampton Wanderers to finish 7th in their first season back in the Premier League in the 2018-19 season. And then, in the 2019-20 season, they got to the Europa League Quarter Final. Although it was only one leg, because that was the season where a specific virus... YouTube, please do not demonetize me for mentioning the virus. But in that season, Wolverhampton Wanderers made it to a Europa League Quarter Final, where they only played one leg and then lost against the eventual winners, Sevilla. Well, of course they did. Sevilla won 5 Europa Leagues in 10 years. But after a few seasons in the Europa League, Wolves regressed to mid-table. And now at the end of this season, Wolverhampton Wanderers are no longer in the Premier League. That's because this season, Wolverhampton Wanderers finished bottom of the Premier League for the first time since 2012, only collecting 20 points. Although, they were being compared with Derby County, who only won 11 points in the 2007-8 season. Wolves weren't even the worst team in the last 3 seasons. But since Wolverhampton Wanderers got relegated from the Premier League, they'll have to play next season in the Championship. Although the Championship is the best second division league in the world, not every player will want to play in this league. So in this video, I'm going to discuss who's probably going to stay and leave Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, here's the squad. This is the first team where I will be discussing where every player will go. Same with every player who's currently out on loan. And even mention some of the under-21 squad. First, the manager, Rob Edwards, will probably be staying at Wolves. He's a former player and knows how to manage in the Championship. And also, he got the team to not be the worst Premier League team of all time. Now onto the goalkeepers, where Wolves have 3 in the first team. First, Jose Sá, who's going to the World Cup with Portugal. I mean, if you're Portugal's third choice goalkeeper, you're not going to want to play in the Championship. So he's probably going to leave to help keep his Portugal career going. At least a little longer. And here is Sam Johnstone, who will probably also want to leave Wolves to help save his England career. After all, playing in the Championship doesn't exactly get you called up for England. But since goalkeeper is usually not a position that comes up too often, he might be stuck at Wolves going into next season. But Daniel Bentley, the other Wolves goalkeeper, will probably stay, as he's not exactly the best goalkeeper. And with the other 2 leaving, Daniel Bentley will be able to start more matches as Wolves' undisputed #1 goalkeeper. Now onto the defenders, where there are numerous defenders such as Ladislav Krejci, who is on loan from Girona, but I think he just signed for Wolves on a permanent deal from Girona. But I mean, Girona got relegated too. I'll be making a video about that soon. So he's probably going to stay because, I mean, he just signed for Wolves. It doesn't make that much sense to sign a permanent deal when your new team just got relegated, but so did his old team. Well, if he doesn't want to play Championship football next season, he still has a chance to impress at the World Cup. And now on to Toti Gomez. There is a plan to keep him, but he might want to leave Wolves to save his Portugal career. So this will be a toss-up. There is incentive for him to stay because he is the captain. Now on to Yerson Mosquera. He'll probably stay, as he's already hinted that he would. And he says he loves the club. He could start every game in the Championship, although he does have a Colombia career to think about. And also, Wolves were very patient with him when he had a very long injury, so he might want to repay them by staying with them in the Championship. Now onto Santiago Bueno, where Wolves want to keep him, but other bigger clubs will probably be after his signature, so he'll probably leave when that happens. If he plays Bueno for Uruguay, he'll get his move away. Oh, here's another Bueno, Hugo Bueno, who will be staying at Wolves, as there's not enough interest to rescue him from relegation, and Wolves want to keep him. And here's another left back, David Müller-Wolf, who will leave to save his Norway career. Although Norway doesn't have too much squad depth at left back, staying at Wolves might lead to him losing his Norway spot to a player in the Norwegian Eliteserien. There's also interest from Besiktas to think about. He might want to play European football instead of in the Championship next season. Now on to Wolves right backs, starting with Jackson Chachua, who will probably be staying as there will be little competition for him in the team. Now on to Wolves' next right back, Pedro Lima, who will probably be leaving as he will want a career to move up. Staying at Wolves in the Championship might stunt his career, although the club do want to keep him. And now on to the Wolves captain, Matt Doherty. It's a toss-up. He could leave at the end of his contract. He did just get injured too, although it's possible that he will play in the Championship, as he's already played for Wolves in the Championship before. Now on to midfield, where Wolves will be seeing a lot of changes next season, where Andre will be leaving to save his Brazil career, and there's already interest for him from bigger clubs. I really can't see him staying at Wolves. I mean, he did just miss out on getting picked for Brazil. Same with João Gomes. He will also leave to save his Brazil career, and of course, there's a lot of interest from bigger clubs. Both Andre and João Gomes could both get really good career moves away from Wolves this summer. Now to Jean-Rickner Bellegarde. I thought he would stay, but Besiktas is interested in signing him and could play European football next season as a result. I know that the Conference League is a league for the teams from Europe's less good leagues, but playing European football is better than playing in the Championship. So he'll probably take the offer and leave. Now on to Rodrigo Gomes. Wolves want to keep him, and I know of no interest for him, so he'll probably stay if no offer comes in for him. Now onto a player who does have interest, Matheus Mane. He'll probably find a bigger club that wants him and will be able to leave Wolves after relegation. After all, Matheus Mane did play really well this season, so a bigger club will definitely want to sign him. Here's another Gomes. Angel Gomes will return to Marseille at the end of his loan deal. He is not playing in the Championship. And now, onto Jerome Abbey, who, before I tried recording this video, I didn't even know he played for the Wolves first team. But I do think he'll stay and get more minutes in the Championship next season. Now on to Enzo Gonzalez, who will stay as no bigger team will want to sign him. And with the departures of other players, he'll be able to find a place for himself in the matchday squad. Now on to the forwards, where it's mixed. Tolu Orokodare, he will leave, but he's not been playing very good in the Premier League this season. He's not even well liked either, so he's leaving. There was interest from the Turkish Super League, so he might go there this summer. Now on to Wolves starting striker in the Championship, Adam Armstrong. This is the easiest one I can say. He will stay at Wolves. He was signed for the Championship, and he will try to win the Golden Boot in the Championship next season and try to help bring Wolves back to the Premier League in 2027. Now on to Hwang Hee-chan. He will probably leave or go out on loan for the Championship season. He has enough name recognition that he'll probably be able to find a move away to save his career. And don't forget, he is in the South Korea squad for the World Cup, so he could get a move away based off of his World Cup performance. Now on to the final member of the first team squad, Nathan Fraser. He didn't even appear on Wikipedia, which was really weird. But I think he will stay and try to get more game time for Wolves in the Championship. Now on to the players who went out on loan, some of which will probably contribute next season. Like Marshall Monetsi. He will come back to Wolves, and in the Championship will probably be able to play in the starting 11. With the departures of Brazilian midfielders João Gomes and Andre, as well as Jean-Rickner Bellegarde, Marshall Monetsi will stay and play in the starting 11 next season. And here's Boubacar Traoré. Same deal as Marshall Monetsi, he will stay and try to make a starting midfield spot his own. And also, like Ladislav Krejci, both his parent club Wolves and his loan club FC Metz got relegated this season. Now, onto Sasha Kalajic. He's already had a favor at Wolves and will leave as a result. Also, as a player who made the Austria squad for the World Cup, he might be able to find a good move away if he does well as a backup striker for his country. Now onto Tommy Doyle, where Unless if another Premier League club wants him, he will stay and play in the starting 11 for Wolves in the Championship. At the very least, he'll get more minutes. Now on to Tawanda Chirera. He's not a big name player. He'll probably stay and fight for a starting spot in this Wolves team. Pretty much same deal for Keanu Hoover. He'll probably stay after returning from his loan and fight for a starting spot in this team. I mean, it's not a guaranteed starting spot. I did say that Jackson Chachua would be staying as well. Now on to Ferrer Lopez. He'll return from his Celta Vigo loan and will probably stay if there's no interest for him from a bigger club. Now on to Nigel Lundvik. He will also stay and probably fight for a starting centre-back spot due to the departures of other defenders, presuming Wolves don't sign any new defenders. Now on to Nasser Giga. Pretty much the same deal as Nigel Lundvik, but he's a better player, so his chance of starting matches is greater. Nasser will stay and play in defense for Wolves in the Championship. Now on to the final loaned out player, Shubin. I don't know much about him, but he'll probably stay and hopefully make his Wolves debut in the Championship. Now on to the under-21 squad. I'm not going to talk about every player here, but there's some that might become part of Wolves' first team next season. Firstly, here's Harvey Griffiths, who will stay and try to become part of the first team squad. And here is Tom Edozie. His older brother Samuel plays for Southampton, another Championship team next season. Tom will want to get closer to his brother's level and make it to the Wolves' first team next season. Now on to Dexter Lembikisa, who will stay and try to become part of the first team squad next season. Same with Wes Okudua. I mean, Wolves are going to need more defenders in the first team next season. For a very similar reason, I see Alfie Pond also staying and becoming a part of Wolves' first team next season. Same with Alfie Brooks. Wolves will need a backup goalkeeper, and he will be moved up to the first team next season. And now, this is just what I think. Of all of these players who will either stay or leave, for the players who stay, as unlike Leicester City and West Ham United, Wolverhampton Wanderers won't need to worry about financial problems as much, so they will be able to sign new players for the club, which could make it more difficult for any current substitute and reserve players getting into the team next season. I forgot to mention this in the Leicester City video, but Wolves had the same weakness which contributed to their relegation in the first place, and that is poor recruitment. Spending big on players who didn't turn out as good as they had hoped. Wolves are going to need to change up strategy in the Championship as, although they do have money, there isn't as much money in the Championship as the Premier League. And of course, being the second division, you won't be able to pull in the same kind of players. But even with the departures, Wolverhampton Wanderers will still have an advantage in the Championship, which will make returning to the Premier League at the first attempt much easier than many other clubs who finished bottom of the Prem.
Press the like button down below if you like this video, and subscribe to this channel if you want to watch more videos like this one.
This isn't even the end of the Fate of series, as there's still a few other big clubs who got relegated this season. And also don't forget, the World Cup is coming up. Videos covering all of those topics will be coming out soon enough. Unfortunately, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine is still going on. This war has devastated Ukraine. The Ukrainian people just want to live in peace and have freedom, but this common dream was ruined by the tyrant and bully Vladimir Putin, who gave orders to Russian soldiers to invade Ukraine over 4 years ago. Not only is Putin ruining Ukraine, he's also ruining his own country of Russia. Here on the KA Bullets footballing channel, I stand with Ukraine in their struggle against Vladimir Putin's tyranny and recognize Ukraine's true borders, as shown by this map.
Слава Україні! Героям слава! Нехай швидше дарується Україні перемога! Glory to Ukraine! Glory to the heroes! May Ukraine be granted victory very soon.
What's even worse is that is not the only international war going on where there is an authoritarian leader trying to keep his people down. And that's why I support a